all PT champions?
Don't know if Willy has one.
Did Willy ever go for extremely? I mean, he's in the Hall of Fame, so
Right.
we'll give him credit there. And you got to be hoping if you're Luis, like, oh, just give me one of the. I haven't seen that person around. Well, no, it's going to be Willy Edel versus Luis Scott-Vargas, the two Hall of Famers here, ready to battle it out. And Luis again constructed this green-white deck. Now Willy, on the other hand, he's got a black-white deck, which is one of my favorite color pairs. Let's take a look at Luis's deck, though, here, and how he ended up building it. This deck is okay.
Yeah.
It's a little
fine.
confused, right? Like, you don't usually see the 3 Rustvine cultivators into Branch Blight Stalker, Slaughter Singer, that type of stuff, right? So it's got a little of oil and a little bit of toxic.
Right, and this is exactly kind of where you don't want to be, but at the same time, given how the draft went, I don't think Luis had a choice, right? He just kind of drafted and made sure that he picked up those early drops to not get run over, and this is kind of the end result. And I'm not sure he could have done a whole lot else other than maybe try to identify what the open second color was and move in.
Now look at Willy. So Willy did not get the memo about 1-drops. That big gap you see on the side means that he didn't prioritize those, which is kind of old school drafting. Like, usually you would kind of ignore them. But look a little further over to the right. Kaya, Intangible Slayer, and just to the left of that, if you see hiding in there, is an Argentum Masticore. Paul, these are 2 of the best cards in the set.
Yeah, and this deck looks great. This is just a black-white toxic deck. I mean, look at all the cards. This is far more streamlined. Basically, every creature either has corrupted or toxic on it. This is what you kind of want a black-white deck to look like. And on top of that, one of the best rares in this set. A little hard to cast, but Kaya, fantastic Planeswalker. So hard to beat if it enters a battlefield.
Yeah, it's funny because when I look at this list, I see, okay, there's like some good toxic stuff to start, and then there's like a random Chittering Skitterling, right? There's just some cards in there that you're like, wow, what is this doing here? But then you get to that top end, and that kind of ends up being all that matters. Now, if I'm in Luis's seat, and I look at this list, I'm scared because Luis has almost no removal whatsoever. Okay, let's get underway here and get into game number 1. Luis is on the bottom part of your screen there. You can see Willy up at the top, and the players are battling it out already with that Slaughter Singer hitting the bin. It got anointed with Affliction, it looks like.
Yeah, so Luis with the old 1-2-3 here, right? Solid curve. Slaughter Singer dead. Just going to be playing normal Magic here with just regular damage. And Willy does not have any of the toxic creatures here. So just playing the 3-mana 2/2 flyer.
Sure. Yep. Put a counter.
All right. Let's see if Luis can continue to add to the board. He does. Another Contagious Vorax going to hit the battlefield here for him. And this is a good way to make sure you continue to hit your land drops and to affect the board at the same time. He actually finds a maze off of it here, it looks like. He's going to pass the turn back over. I'm looking at Willy Edel's hand here on the left-hand side of your screen there. Argentum Masticore is lurking.
And Kaya.
He has Kaya as well. Now that's for a little later, as costs 7 mana. But if he has 1 more mana, Argentum Masticore could come down, and Luis is pretty cold to that card. Like, he has 1 removal spell, and it doesn't actually take the Masticore off the battlefield.
Right.
And if Argentum Masticore gets to sit on the battlefield for a while, the other person doesn't.
And take a look at Luis's hand. Just
terrible.
All lands.
He's flooding out horrendously. Now, he does have Hunter Maze that he picked up off of the Vorak last turn. And look at this. He's going to upgrade a Vorak here, potentially.
Yeah, but this won't even be able to get through, right? I mean,
nope.
It's a 3/5, so the 2/4 will just get in the way here. So not much for Luis to do, which will just buy Willy time. I mean, even if he doesn't find a land, he'll just have plays. He's got the combat trick here.
Yeah.
Can continue chipping away here with the flyer.
I don't know, like, maybe post-board Luis can bring in the Canopy or something, but, like, if he sees Argentum Masticore hit the battlefield, like, he needs to have, like, Tyvar stand in a bunch of mana. He needs to...
Is it time to slam it?
cheat it, cheese him out basically, because like it is. This is Luis is not going to like this.
Oh, there it is.
There's the Argentum Masticore. Happy birthday, Luis, says Willy Edel. I got a little present for you. Luis is going to crack that maze, and there's a lot riding on these 2 draw steps there as his hand is completely flooded out. He finds a Basilica Skull
Willy's
Bomb.
at 20, right?
Yeah. He's made no progress.
There's no way for
whatsoever.
Luis to actually break through. Sure, he can get in for 5 in the air this turn, but then all of a sudden, Willy's just going to be able to shoot down all of these creatures on the battlefield.
And Luis is actually going to go, he's going to try to continue to add to his board by just drawing a card. And of course, he finds another Rustvine Cultivator.
Yeah.
That's, of the spells in his deck, probably the absolute worst one. I mean, a land would be worse, but... And here we go. We're going to start seeing things discarded. In fact, that's the Kaya straight away.
Don't need the Kaya.
No, but that has plenty enough mana value to cover killing a Contagious Vorak. And, Luis is... I bet you Luis will scoop next turn if he doesn't find...
Very close. I mean, Willy also has the protection spell here, right? In the offer Immortality. So if Luis somehow... I guess we looked at the deck list, but even if he had something like a main deck Canopy, now Willy just even has protection from that.
Yeah, and he doesn't. So
Yeah. And the Masticore does, in fact, have first strike, so can't even set up a triple block here.
Nope, so he's just going to throw one of the cultivators onto the bus. But if you're sitting in Luis's seat, that bus is going to be the end of you.
Predation Steward? Not Predation Steward, excuse me, the Knight.
Okay, sure, Venomous Brutalizer.
Okay.
He's
4/6.
not going to proliferate because he doesn't have anything
No
outside of one
Can
oil counter.
give himself an extra oil counter on that cultivator.
But he is going to pay the mana to equip. And once again, the discards are flowing here. This one is going to be a 2-drop that's going to get discarded.
Might kill the Injector.
Yeah,
Yep.
he is. He also could kill the cultivator. And the real question is, how much more of this can Luis take? And the answer is not a lot.
Not a lot here. Luis is just in chump block mode here. Preserve his life total. Still taking 2 from the flyer here. I mean, Willy's basically just drawing a removal spell every single turn.
Yeah,
right?
it turns every card you draw that has any type of mana value at all into a straight up removal spell that you don't have to pay any mana for, by the way.
Luis.
He actually discarded a removal spell this time.
Well, you don't need to cast it, right?
No, you
just
do not.
Yeah.
And that's enough for Luis Scott-Vargas. He's going to pack up game number 1. Willy Edel cast the Masticore over.
That was it?
There was nothing left.
That was it. Yeah, this seems like a really, really tough matchup here. Luis playing kind of a mid-ranged green-white strategy with not a lot of removal. Maybe okay if you're playing against another aggressive deck, but if you're playing against a deck as bomb-heavy as Willy's, it's going to be tough.
This is the nightmare. It really is for Luis. This is the exact matchup he doesn't want to see. Willy has enough cards to hang in there until he can cast his bombs, and Luis doesn't have answers for the bombs generally. Wow, he's kept a very land-heavy hand here as Luis. He's got Annex Sentry and nothing else going. Once again, kind of leaning on the Hunter's Maze, perhaps.
Good target.
He did. He found a nice target here for his Annex Sentry. Double Striker down. And that Sentry can start chipping away for some poison counters, too, if there's no great blocker on the other side. Well, there's a good enough blocker on the other side.
Luis with just all lands and the spell he drew for his turn.
Yeah, but very pedestrian draws here for both of our players. A few more spells, though, for Willy.
Yeah. I mean, if we looked at Willy's deck, it just kind of looked like the average black-white deck. And then, oh, let's go to the right side of the converted mana cost, and that's where all the heavy hitters were.
We're going to see Dune Mover now from Edel. It's going to search up a swamp. And unfortunately for him, won't go into his hand. It'll go on top of his library. But he does hit land number 4 before passing the turn back.
Luis just thinking, no Masticore. Come on. No
Yeah,
Masticore.
one
Please,
time no
please.
Masticore is definitely what he's thinking. He's
I have all
gonna play
these
Mirror
lands.
Bardiche. Yeah, and as it turns out, that's likely what Willy's going to do as well. We could have ourselves
swamp
a real Bardiche
and
fight.
Bardiche.
And so Luis Scott-Vargas gets to breathe a slight sigh of relief here that it's not the Masticore, but he is going to fall behind if he doesn't find action because it looks like Luis just has a bunch of lands in hand.
Yeah, he drew an Oil Gorger Troll, but nothing with oil counters on it at the moment.
Yeah, it's okay. Did he find a 3-ball off of this maze? He
Okay.
did, and it's a Contagious Vorax, so that was actually really nice there for Luis.
So, bit of a stalemate here.
Luis is going to pass the turn back after casting the Contagious Vorak. And Willy's going to take a minute.
Oh,
What did he find? Oh, he found the
oh,
Wow.
hello,
Wow.
hello.
Wow. So the question is, can he get away with just casting another Mirren Bardiche and actually making headway to perhaps try to wait for Argentum Masticore? You know, Luis may use removal on a Bardiche, or maybe we'll expend some more resources where the way could be clear, or does he just slam it and say, good luck? Because, you know, he does have access to the deck list, right? And he should know that Luis has precious few answers he may have brought in.
Right, it's
Yeah.
one of those things where it's like, you don't really have that many ways to kill this. Maybe it's just good for me to just jam this and just kind of start chipping away here. I mean, you have a perfectly fine 5-mana play here.
Willy's doing a little bit of combat math here. He's going for the
There it is.
Argentum Masticore. It's going to hit the battlefield, and Luis really needs to find what we assume would be a canopy that he'd brought in.
Yeah, and yeah, this is tough. And
Because there's a window open.
and Luis with an Oil Gorger troll, which
has
is
to be an Oil Gorger troll.
yeah,
there.
which not a challenger troll, but not going to do a whole lot. Just a 5-mana 3/4, gain 3 life, and remember, the Argentum Masticore. If you discard a land, you can just kill tokens.
You can.
Right, so
It's
that Bardiche,
brutal.
all of a sudden,
Or you can discard 5 drops
or
to
just
kill
discard
other
5 drops,
drops.
kill 5 drops for without casting anything.
Yeah, and I mean, this is basically over. Like, Luis has a bunch of lands in hand, and Willy has the Masticore going again.
Yeah, I mean, and with the first strike, it's just so obnoxious. Like, Willy can just freely attack here, right?
Yes.
I suppose the one thing that Willy does need to be afraid of is Tyvar Stand.
Sure.
It does give indestructible. So Luis can triple block or something and maybe wait to see how Willy orders the blockers.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if...
Ooh.
Oh, look at this. He's going to put the Bardiche on the Masticore. It does cost 4 to equip.
And it gives it +2/+1.
Yeah. So now it's 7.
7.
Yeah. Luis is going to need to find a Tyvar Stand, or if he did board in the canopy, one of those, and he's going to need to do it quickly. And
He
another
needs a
forest off the
canopy.
top. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
He does need to keep playing these lands out in case he finds the stand, but it just snowballs so quickly because it's likely that, you know, Willy gets to kill another creature on upkeep.
And he found a removal spell, but this doesn't work, right?
It works and it doesn't.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's a planar disruption. The trigger will still happen,
That's
right?
right.
And you just can't attack or block, but you can then discard a 2-drop and just kill the disruption, right? And then you can just start attacking again.
That's right.
Okay.
So he's just going
He's
to
like, yep,
get rid of
gonna
Duelist
kill that
Deep
one.
Faith and just take that thing off there. And Luis, I mean, he has no choice. Like,
Yeah.
he has to
Gotta
gamble
play
here.
spells.
3,
Yeah.
Right.
He did equip up the Annex Entry as well, so it's got the +2/+1.
When one prints a Mastercore card, it's always going to be good.
You know, I saw the name of it and the cost, and the first time I saw it, and I just picked it.
Yeah,
I didn't
you
even
didn't even
read
have to read the rest of
Yeah.
the text box. We're like,
Yeah.
you're like, it's a Mastercore. I'm probably going to have to discard something. It's going to kill something.
Yep.
And if I resolve it, I'm probably going to win the game.
Yeah, and then I
Right.
have to say, Paul, that when I actually played it, I was like, wow, this is just better than I
This is better
could have
than you
hoped.
thought
Yeah.
it would be.
Yeah, it just turns all my spells into Terminates. I'm like, okay, this is great. Luis did find a Venomous Brutalizer, but that is not line up nicely against the Masticore, as really nothing does.
Yeah.
And it's just going to keep on coming in.
I mean,
Luis is on 14 life. He can take the hit here, but it is half of his life total as he drops down to just 7. And this is one last chance here for Scott-Vargas. Did he find something? He found the Spinoderm.
Trample now, right? Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Also too small,
Yep.
somehow.
And it does not have hexproof just yet, right?
Right.
It needs to be on 2 counters, so
2 or fewer.
two or fewer. So if Willy just has something big, he can also just kill the Spinoderm if he wants.
It has trample if it has 2 or fewer, and then if it has other than that, then it has.
Oh,
expert.
excuse me.
So
It does have expert.
it does, but it's too small.
Right.
Like
You can
somehow
just
your
kill the other 4 drop in
5/5,
play.
right, is
An
just
attack.
not big enough.
It has first strike, and it's a lethal attack.
Right. So then there could be a chump block.
But then now you can maybe freely just attack with everything else, right? At this point,
You
because the
definitely
7/6
can
has
now.
to be blocked.
You definitely can now, and that is going to be the match going to Willy Edel and his new best friend. Yeah, and a total nightmare for Luis Scott-Vargas there. That type of deck is exactly what he didn't want to see, because either the Kaya or the Masticore would be enough to dominate.
Yeah, and Luis's deck isn't really especially capable of killing your opponents on turn 6 or 7. So oftentimes you're just going to get, plenty of time to actually deploy your bombs. I mean, you saw how that game was unfolding, right? It was 2-drop, 3-drop, 4-drop. Both players just can't really attack each other. We're going to develop our board. It's a stalemate. And as the game goes on, Luis doesn't have that haymaker at the top of his curve the way that Willy does. So Willy just kind of has inevitability in this matchup.
That's right. And every draw step is a land drop towards Kaya or another peel at the Masticore. And once it comes down, Luis doesn't have an answer. So Willy Edel picks up that critical first match. We're going to take a short break, but when we come back, we'll have more round 1 coverage here from Philadelphia. Don't go anywhere. And welcome back to coverage here of Pro Tour Phyrexia. Marshall Sutcliffe with Paul Cheon. We are well underway here in our booster draft portion. Thank you so much for joining us. We're super happy to be here and super happy that you're here with us. We've got Autumn Burchett sitting in the feature match area actually for game number 2 coming in. Let's take a look at the deck list. Autumn is playing against Cheng, Josh Cheng as he goes by, and we can take a look here and see what they came away with. Now, both of these players, of course, at our feature pod. So, there is a zero-sum element to this, right? So let's take a look at and look at this. Josh actually is in black-white, the same thing as Willy.
Got a bomb as well. One of the best rares in
Eternal
these sets, the Eternal Wanderer.
Wow, so there was a Masticore, a Kaya, and an Eternal Wanderer floating around this table?
Sheesh.
That's incredible. Let's take a look at the curve. Sinew Dancer, Crawling Chorus, Swooping Lookout, medium, but then a nice little array of toxic creatures. And look at all the 2-drops there going all the way down to the bottom for Josh. You can tell that he really minded the curve. Playing Nebraska's Fall, and like Willy Edel, had to play a Vanish into Eternity in the main. That is not where you want to be in the format, but hey, this is a PT table. You do what you got to do.
Yeah, it looks like an Orzhov Toxic deck that didn't quite get there on the playables, and you're playing some filler here.
That's right. Rhea Evor's decent, and then the Ravenous. Okay, let's take a look at Autumn's list here.
This
3 swamps, 2 islands, 7 forests, 2 mountains, and a plain.
Okay, I was just like, this cannot be the real deck, and then I saw 4 Prophetic Prisms. So we are going deep here.
This is incredible.
I've never seen a deck like this before.
I have not either.
I've never even tried drafting a
like
deck
my
like
brain
this.
just stopped for a minute.
I was like,
I just had to restart it.
Cards.
Wow. Okay, so what is the payoff? You get
Blue Sun's Twilight.
Okay.
Bladehold War Whip.
Yes. You get an
But
with
I don't
Affliction.
see a lot of other. I think it just you can play a bunch of cards, but I don't see a card that you're just like, wow, it is worth it for me to splash this thing.
Right. I mean, you're playing Cruel Grimnarch.
Yeah.
That's not even, you know,
Okay.
Molten Rebuke is a fringe. This is a weird. I have never seen a deck like this. I cannot wait to see what this thing actually does, because there's definitely some powerful cards. But if you told me that I would see Necrogen Rot Priest right next to Cephalopod Sentry in the feature match, I would not have believed you.
Yeah.
So let's see how it works out. As we come in, we're entering game number 2, where Josh finds himself up a game. And I have to say, I'm not shocked to see that, right? Josh's deck is a lot more streamlined, but maybe if Autumn can get her deck under her
Autumn
feet,
just be the turn 1 crawling
right?
force?
Because even if there's a Prophetic Prism here, you're not affecting the board.
Yeah.
Let's see if there's something better that could block. Yes, there is.
Okay.
Although, let's see if Josh has a way through. Oh, I love it. See, this is the reason why you play Crawling
Right.
Forest on 1, is because there's multiple combat tricks, Complete Devotion, you know, that they just don't want to block.
Yeah, and we saw several of those in
Mm-hmm.
the draft.
Incredible. Yeah, the Vron Executioner thing sitting there on the other side for Autumn. It's a card.
Yeah.
There seemed to be an attempted deck around it, like in the red-black space, but it didn't really come
Didn't
together.
quite get there, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, you got a 2/2 for 2.
Main phase 2.
And that's just it's it's just the 3/1 basically. It's whenever a player plays a multicolored spell, you draw a card. But I think it's just a curve filler. Josh just again recognizing that he needs to play to the board early and just wants to beat down here.
Yeah, just Zenith Chronicler after playing out the chorus. There's a Dune Mover now for Autumn.
That's probably one of the better cards in her deck, right?
Probably. We
help set up
also
what you're trying to
have
do.
not seen a Prophetic Prism yet. Now, she may have decided just not to cast one.
She's got some premium 4-drops, right? She's got a bunch of the Signpost uncommons.
Yeah, it's
Maybe all of
interesting.
them?
Maybe all of them? I mean, again, Necrogen Rot Priest and Cephalopod Sentry just sitting there. There's land number 3 now
Yeah,
for Josh.
Cephalopod Sentry with all those Prophetic Prisms. You know, 4 mana, 3/5 flyer, just a very solid card to put into your deck if you can cast it. And you do see the Blue Sun's Twilight.
Oh, is that in hand there for Autumn?
That is in Autumn's hand.
So that's
so-
a goal.
Right. Probably put an island on top, right? Work your way up to it.
Get a prism and an island or whatever, and then do the thing.
Oftentimes, though, I mean, obviously this card is just great whenever you play it.
Yeah.
But you really want to get to 7 mana,
Yes.
right? Get that extra value. But
I
against the deck,
pulled that off once. I kind of abandoned blue since then, but I have pulled that off, and it's just obscene.
it's ridiculous, yes. However, against maybe Josh's hyper-aggressive deck, even just turn 4, steal your 2-drop is still pretty strong.
And look at this. Josh is feisty today. Going to jam with both creatures. And it looks like the Dune Mover is going to jump in front of the Zenith Chronicler. And perhaps that's the only blocks. Nope, still deciding.
Now, if Josh does go ahead and go with a Complete Devotion, Autumn has to be thinking, well, that's your turn 3 play.
Yeah.
Right? You're not going to be able to follow that up likely with another 1-drop. So I know that you have the Devotion, but do I just want you to cast this turn just so I can try to, you know, stabilize and develop my board? Excellent combat trick, as you can see there on the screen.
One of the best in a while. You know, it ends up playing a lot like a removal spell.
Yeah,
right?
that
But it
draws you a
cantrips,
card.
Right, it's insane. All right, and it looks like we're just going to see a trade here. Dune Mover for the Zenith Chronicler. That's another poison counter. Up to 2 goes Autumn. And Stinging Hive Master is going to be the follow-up play here for Josh. So solid game plan. You know, the Chronicler is a little like, what are you doing here? But okay, fine, you can attack too. But, you know, you see both creatures on the battlefield here for Josh have Toxic, so...
And Autumn with that Prophetic Prism in hand too, so and put the island on top, so can cast the Blue Sun's Twilight.
Yeah, Vron
Eventually.
also doing the thing, the drain for 2 there on that trade, so it's actually Autumn who's ahead on life total somehow. I think we're going to see a Prism here.
Prism number 1.
Yeah. And you saw the island in hand, so the Blue Sun's Twilight is turned on, but as you mentioned, you really want to get up to that 7 mana slot to make it work. That's a copper long legs.
Defense.
Shields up.
Right?
I mean, it's looking okay.
Yeah. It's like, do you double block here? You can also just choose to put the Vron in front.
Yeah, I wonder how much a piece of the game plan Vron is for Autumn's deck beyond being just kind of like a solid 2-drop that has upside, right? If it ends up becoming something where, you know, you can kind of combo off with or really get value from later, then that's one thing. Right. But otherwise, like, is it going to do better than this?
I think it's just a 2-drop for the most part. She's not really playing a sacrifice strategy here, right? So
right.
It's okay to just put this in front and just kind of force it.
Do you see this? There we go. There's the Complete Devotion. So that's going to be a card drawn and drawn in the bin. And a 2-drop follow-up, too, with Pestilent Siphoner.
But the long legs doing a good job against that, right?
Good point. He'll need another combat trick or removal spell to get rid of the copper long legs.
All right, so we're on 5 mana.
Creeping up.
5 mana. Do we cast it now, or do we have something else that we want to run out instead?
Yeah, you know, the long legs is actually stabilizing the board here.
You can just steal the 3/2 here, right?
Beyond the 3/2, yeah.
And all of a sudden, unless Josh has a removal spell or a pump spell, I mean, this long legs is doing some work.
Yep. And that's exactly what's going to happen. We're going to see the Blue Sun's Twilight steal the Stinging Hive Master. Now, it does stay tapped, but not super relevant here as the shields are well and truly up here for Autumn. This is actually working.
Yeah.
She's blunted this initial assault. Oh, 5-ball coming here, though. And it is a Basilica Shepherd. Now, that's not good news for Autumn Burchett. That is the type of card that can break through the long legs. And then these mites are very threatening.
Yeah.
Like, right now, they might not do much, but you could see Josh just be like, attack with everything.
Yeah, I absolutely love Basilica Shepherd. I mean, I know we talk about how aggressive this format is, but just any time my opponent plays that, I just groan. I'm like, okay, so I just have to kill all of these things? Also works well in the blue-white artifact strategy, right? It just puts 2 artifacts into play.
Yeah, usually a bunch of triggers ensue.
Oh, that's
wow, Autumn's getting in there.
I think Autumn also has a Meldweb Curator in hand, so can get back the mind control.
Really? Can get back the Twilight?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So heads up play here from Josh. Doesn't even want to get the first poison counter rolling. Is going to chump block with Crawling Chorus.
Doesn't want to get corrupted, maybe.
Correct.
Because I don't think Autumn is on the Toxic You Out plan.
But who knows?
Yeah.
Autumn could be doing anything. This deck is insane.
It is a wild one for sure.
It's going to be Meldweb Curator to get back.
Yeah, can't steal the Shepherd.
Could you ever survive getting Twilighted twice? I mean, maybe if they're both only 2-for-1s.
Right.
Rather than the 3-for-1 that you can get.
I think at this point, because she's stabilized, she's going to see if she can find a few more lands to try to cast it for 5 to really put the game away.
I would too.
Yeah.
Orthodoxy Enforcer also does a good job of shoring up the ground game. And even though the Basilica Shepherd can get in, it's only 3 damage. Right. And Autumn's sitting at 17, so, you know, there's no toxic happening.
Yeah, Autumn has stabilized here.
That looks like a Blight Belly Rat there with the alternate art there from Josh. So once again, staying on theme and potentially threatening a huge attack, you know, if a removal spell were to hit, or maybe a double spell with a combat trick and some other way to affect the board. But for now, Autumn gets to just sit tight. And what do we have here? Contagious Vorak for 3 green.
A lot of those open in this draft.
There were.
I think Autumn's got 2. Luis has 2.
Yeah.
We'll reveal this planes.
Okay, and it's going to be a plains here from Autumn.
All right, so now that's 6 mana, 1 away.
Where are those planes?
Yep.
Likely has a decent attack here, at least maybe with the Enforcer. It's a 2/4. There's 3 power on the battlefield that can block. And Josh is down to 1 card here.
Probably just
It's funny if the
I guess.
Hive Master trades, then that puts a second artifact onto the battlefield, and the Enforcer then becomes a 4/4.
Block.
Yep, you take 2.
16.
But now Autumn will be
I
corrupted,
took a token.
Yeah, and plug
as when the rat dies, it does proliferate.
That's right. So Autumn now has the requisite 3 poison counters.
Thank you. And it's your turn.
All right, back over to Josh. Let's see. Josh at this point basically just doesn't want to find any lands for the rest of the game.
Yeah,
14.
Go.
only able to get it with
Ooh.
the flyer.
That was just a very quick attack go, though, so it felt like nothing much there, although it was something, actually.
Yeah.
That was Vanquish into Eternity and Necrogen.
Yeah, but doesn't have the second black source.
Oh, brutal. So actually,
6/6
does
would be
wanna
great
find
here.
a land?
Yeah. The 2-color deck is, of course, not getting the colors, where the 5-color deck is getting it done here. But of
Yeah.
course, Autumn did build her deck in a specific way so that the mana actually isn't really a problem.
take 7.
It's mostly just
Artifact.
the fact that you can maybe potentially get run over because you are leaning heavily on cards like Prophetic Prism for your mana.
Vanish. Target.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna call a judge a sack. I don't know how this works.
Okay, there's a judge call. Haven't had one of these in a while.
The first judge call
Yep.
in a while.
Yes.
A bit of a weird question.
Sure.
So I attacked with my 2 creatures.
Sure.
Opponent said take 5, implying, you know, no blocks going to damage. I said it's actually 7 because there's the might. And then my opponent
Right.
went to cast to this before damage, and I don't know.
Yeah, so what's going to happen here then is if
if
Josh said he's going to take it, even if he didn't understand exactly how much power was on the board, he's going to be committed to taking the damage.
Right, because if he went, I take the damage, it would be 7 damage.
And then you say, oh, wait, never mind. I guess I'll use my removal spell.
Right, and he, and
that'll-
he might have said, I take 5 damage.
那这样子打起，我就说那好。
He said take 5
Oh, because he thought that it was...
because he didn't realize it was turned on, and then Autumn said it's actually 7, and then he said, well, okay, then I'm going to use Vanish, and Autumn's like, well, did we already go past that? Let's get a judge, which is exactly what you're supposed to do.
Right.
And the result will be, or should be, and looks like it was, that Josh actually ends up having to take the full 7.
Right. Yeah, I think it was one of those, I think I can afford to take 2, but then you finding out, oh, maybe I'm going to take 4. Okay, I'm just going to kill a 4/4 at this point.
That's right. But you have to be careful about how you verbalize those things.
Absolutely. It's time to
Okay,
buy
let's-
back the Blue Sun's Twilight.
There's Meldweb Curator, and that thing's just going to sit on the battlefield. It's a big old 3/4 also. And now we're going to see Josh. Okay, fine, I'm still going to use my Vanish.
Okay, can you find maybe another removal spell?
A removal spell or a black source?
Okay, so that now you get a 6/6 on the battlefield, but keep in mind, Autumn can just steal it.
Yes, I
Right?
mean, it doesn't look so great to play a Ravenous Necrotitan when you
When you're
look
putting
over
a 6 mana
and you
the Blue
see that Blue
Twilight.
Sun's Twilight just sitting
might
there.
have to wait, yeah.
He played it, though.
Really?
Quite large. Yep.
I guess it's just like, it's better for you to play this now than to hit land number 7 and steal 2 things.
You just in a take your medicine mode.
Right, it's just like, okay, I'm gonna take your 6/6, get in.
And there it goes. So twice now, Autumn has resolved Blue Sun's Twilight this game. And even though it was a nice start from Josh, I don't know how you're going to survive that.
Right, getting in with the might as well.
5 and 1 poison counter.
And
Yeah, might do damage too.
what can Josh draw here? The Wanderer here, maybe?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. That's the one card he can find here to kind of get him out of it. But
Eternal Wanderer would have been the way out, and you know, because you can do the wrath. And
Right.
you have a might. I'll keep my best creature. So Josh actually did have an out there, but he didn't hit it.
yeah, every time I read that card, I'm surprised at how powerful it is.
I know, you're like, wait, I get to choose all
I
these
get to
things?
choose both creatures
Yeah.
to stay on the battlefield. That's not usually how this works. Right?
That was my reaction when my opponent cast it
Yeah.
against me, and I was like, wait, you get to
That
choose?
doesn't seem very fair at all.
But you kept your best thing, and I have my worst thing.
Duress.
Oh boy, that has
Look
to
at
be out
that
of the board
sideboard here, knowing Autumn's playing cards like the Prism
and the Zenith,
and the Zenith.
or Twilight, I should say. So there's Duress to take away Bladehold Warwhip, one of the best uncommons in the set, so it did hit something nice. Also, Duress gets a little bit of a bump because it can kind of hit creatures, right? Like that's effectively a creature.
Right,
in
in
Autumn's
this
hand.
set
Yeah.
specifically.
Swooping Lookout's going to hit the battlefield here for Josh.
Oh, no land.
Oh,
Number 2.
boy. That's going to need to get itself resolved quickly, although Josh currently only has 1 power and no toxic on the board. So let's see what turn 3 is here. That's perfect.
Now he's got
so this
land,
has to be a land.
Okay.
Because now Autumn can either play some type of removal or blocker, or at the very least play Prophetic Prism and try to hit land number 3 next turn.
Right. Might just be interested in playing a creature here just to get in the way of the Hive Master and then run the Prism out next turn. But depends on the 3 drops that Autumn might have.
Autumn did play Prophetic Prism and did not draw a land out. She's got her draw step, so we're not dead, but this is going to add up
Pressure
fast.
here. Okay. That's a land.
That's an Infected Flesh Cutter. Everything's infected or infectious or
Infested Flesh Cutter.
infested flesh cutter.
Can now put that on the flyer.
This thing gets out of hand. Every time it attacks, it's going to get a
Ooh,
might. We
did
see
not
Chrome
see that one
Prowler
coming.
here though to shut down the might-making ability, but still the 3/2 does get in there.
The Chrome Prowler.
Chrome Prowler going to jump in front, probably.
Probably, yeah. I mean, you want to preserve the life total. Try not to stay corrupted if you can.
The old Swamp Forest Mountain
And-
Chrome
and-
Prowler.
Right, and unless there's a really good reason for Autumn to want to have a 3/2 in play. But right now, I think it's all about just minimizing the damage that you take.
Absolutely. So a might will be produced, and still the Swooping Lookout will start pumping out mites and getting in there in the air.
Yeah, and this is kind of the thing
This
with
is
the
the bad
prisms,
part.
right? It's like you can play it here, but I mean,
That's your turn.
that is your entire turn.
And
Needs
this
a
also
land.
needs to be a land drop, by the way. And it
Okay.
is.
Okay.
Whew.
All right, and I mean, if Josh can't find a way to deal, I mean, Autumn does have some
Thrawn.
very powerful spells in hand there.
I saw the Sentry.
I saw the, the Sentry. That just blocks everything.
Right, Cephalopod Sentry will shut down the Might Factory as well. We see Vron hit the battlefield, but here comes Swooping Lookout.
Creates a
Make a
might.
might.
And there's a Blue Sun's Twilight as well, I believe. In
There
Autumn's
is.
hand.
Yeah. So the stage is set for Autumn. She just needs to hit a few more land drops and not have Josh have like some very specific, very powerful thing, and it can, and she can come back here.
Is it time to just slam the Sentry here and kind of hope that Josh has nothing?
I think so.
It does brick wall everything, right? I mean, and it's a 3/5 flyer here.
And Josh is putting enough pressure on that it's very difficult to just say, oh, I'll just keep setting up. I'll just keep, you know. There's the Sentry. Is
Right.
there an answer for it?
Josh,
Another
no way.
land. That's
6 lands. Vanish
Uh-oh.
to eternity.
Oh, there it is. The
Oh!
Eternal Wanderer for Josh Cheng. Perfect timing.
Yeah, and removing it. And remember, this thing exiles until the end of your opponent's next turn.
Yes.
That is another effect where I'm just like, oh, it just flickers a thing, right? No.
The
It just
beginning
removes the
of that player's next end step,
Yeah.
it's gone. I mean, it effectively kills it, you know,
Right.
for the entire turn cycle.
Yeah, if you want to beat down, I mean, it's just such a strong card here, and Autumn just doesn't have an answer.
That was
Or the
so
Wanderer.
rough because, you know, Autumn actually looked like stabilization was in sight here.
Yeah.
Even with a rocky start and a pretty good start from Josh's side. But that's the type of card that just blows this out of the water. And Autumn's looking at a bunch of green and blue cards in hand. There's a Contagious Vorak,
Right.
but Josh is like, sure, and
Yeah,
enjoy.
go ahead, get your land, get your 3/3, but Autumn still doesn't have an answer to that flyer, and we now just have a Wanderer continuing to tick up. If you want to kill the sentry, you can start pumping out double strikers if you want. You could also just have Autumn overextend and then wrath the board, keep the best creature. So many options.
Really, really tough card to beat if you don't have kind of an immediate answer for it.
Go.
And you can kind of get a sense for the tone, right?
Josh
Go
is very
ahead.
confident now.
Yes, Josh seems confident, and Autumn recognizes what an incredible pain the Eternal Wanderer is going to be. Up to 7 loyalty. And once again, the Cephalopod Sentry is going to get exiled for a full turn cycle. That will clear the way for Swooping Lookout once again, which is going to chip in.
Only good attack. Now, Josh doesn't have a lot of great blockers here.
I mean, Eternal Wanderer kind of protects itself, right?
Right. I'm just wondering if maybe Autumn can get in some damage this turn.
I don't see how.
You have the Vorak, but I guess that just gets blocked.
And then that's it.
Look, I'm trying to find the angles.
Paul, you know.
I would have just moved on at this point, but I mean, you got, you know.
Oh, I know where you'd be. You'd be at the Reading Terminal Market across the street if you were
Yeah.
in Autumn Seat.
It
Like,
would
hey,
be-
you had
it
the
would be
Wanderer. What was I
lunchtime for
supposed
me,
to
yes.
do, right? Yeah, but the Eternal Wanderer hits you on multiple angles, right? It can do this type of game, and then it can do the Wrath thing, and of course it can build out the board, but it becomes almost impossible to interact with. You know, it has the static ability that it can only be attacked by one creature at a time. So, like, even if you come up with some amazing thing, you can just jump it, you know, protect my Wanderer. I thought the last Wandering Emperor was pretty good. It's like, looks like
Yeah.
taking a really long walk is the way to go. 'Cause,
Yeah,
like,
this one,
one's
I mean,
absurd.
in limited,
They're both unbeatable, let's be honest.
this is likely the better card.
So we're going to see Blue Sun's Twilight steal
Okay, get in for 3.
the swoops.
Attack Wanderer with both of these.
Hey, I wasn't
But
the
you-
only one who missed this.
Yeah, you can only
I just
attack
want
it
to
with
let all
one.
of you know we got a Pro Tour champion here.
Paul's back.
Wanderer.
And you saw Josh was very aware.
He's like,
immediately
yeah.
There's a static ability here.
Okay.
Now is it time? It's an interesting dilemma now, right? Because if you want to do the Wrath thing, that would actually take out the
Right,
Wandering Emperor.
I mean, especially with what we now see on the board here, keep a might, maybe then play something.
But you'd lose the Wandering Emperor, like
Yeah, that
or
is
the Eternal
true.
Wanderer. I mean, that's a real thing.
Of course, yeah, can do that. Autumn
The
is
totals
down
are
to
low.
6.
Yeah, it's a 2-turner. What would be left over?
Probably the Seer.
Okay,
But remember, if everything dies, you still get 1 trigger here from the Vron.
true. Yeah, and that does throw it off,
Yeah.
throw off the clock by another turn.
Combat.
Okay, well, Josh is going to attack. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, you
Autumn is at this
swap,
stage of the
trade,
game.
Drain.
Gain 2, I gain 2, I'm on 8. You're on 18.
8 to 18 with 4 Phyrexian mites, but nothing that can actually block, even with the limitation of only the one attacker.
Right, so you tick this up maybe on the Sentry and keep it. Oh, no,
let's
we're
make
going
it
double strike.
Double striker.
Okay, so now.
And a blocker? Okay.
Okay,
Zenith
okay.
Chronicler coming down. But we do have to note that the Cephalopod Sentry is still
I mean,
alive.
that's. Yeah, and the Cephalopod Sentry is currently what, 3-powered creature, it looks like?
Almost enough.
Almost enough. If Autumn can find another
Wow.
prism or any other artifact, Eternal Wanderer down.
That would be an absolutely amazing step forward for Autumn, because this is a very difficult situation.
Run Hiker.
Oh, but look at this.
Oh.
Drown and Ichor.
Not quite enough to kill the Sentry,
Uh,
but it does
you-
proliferate,
I'm on 10.
right? So you can get an extra counter on the Wanderer.
Triggers 1 turn.
Oh, it does. I'm sorry.
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay, and Autumn actually wanted to trigger Vron twice, but Josh pointed out, no, it's only once per
And-
turn,
and-
as you mentioned, Paul.
Probably proliferate the poison here as well. I imagine.
Because why not?
Because value.
Pretty good.
But that one extra loyalty on Eternal Wanderer, excuse me, could be really big.
Yeah. Right. I mean, because now Autumn doesn't have the out of just playing an artifact to kill the the Eternal Wanderer. The Sentry only at 3 power, can't get up to 4.
He's on 5.
Let's go. Oh, looks like Autumn is scrying here.
That is time in the round.
Make decision.
Yeah, I'll bottom.
Please raise your hand and call the judge.
Draw.
As a reminder, if you're done with your match,
I think that was the Tyvar stand.
Oh, really?
So that is a way to get the Wanderer off the battlefield. But now, I mean, take a look at what Josh has on his side. And Autumn is down to 8.
That is, and this is kind of forcing an attack, forcing some mana to get tapped.
And we have a potentially a 4-2 double striker next turn if Josh equips the 2-2 double striking samurai token.
Yeah. But Autumn
This
just
is a
doesn't
free
have
power
much of a
plus
choice
plus
but to
two.
Fine.
use
All
whatever
right.
you can do to get the Eternal Wanderer off the battlefield, which he's done.
Wanderer down, but Josh, I mean,
These are big top decks for Josh too. Like
This
he's
is a
not
lot
going
of
to need
damage
that
that can
much
get through.
more, yeah, to put this thing away. We're going to see an equip here first though with
Yep.
Flesh Cutter.
so this is going to get chumped for sure because that by itself is a lethal attack.
Okay.
The question is, where does Josh want to equip? What happens if Josh is thinking, what happens if I equip Might?
Put this.
Oh, right.
Right, just if I send with everything.
Yeah.
Can still send with everything because those things can't block. The samurai does need to get chump blocked.
So this
Right.
this forces a block.
And then that's 7 damage that can get through if you have to block the samurai.
Mm-hmm.
Takes.
This gets in for 6.
Yeah, this stuff,
Autumn would go down to
before this
2.
takes damage, I'm gonna spray.
Then a drain would happen, putting Autumn
And the
back
drain
up
would
to
actually
4.
happen
Leave this on
first,
top.
right?
Right, 'cause of the first strike.
Right.
So you drain.
So up to 10.
10 and 16 and you.
And then
one
3
more.
toxic.
Yeah, that's going to add up quick.
5 poison counters.
3 poison.
Yeah, you're now at 5.
Oh, so because,
So
because Josh
did proliferate
proliferated.
from the Drown and Ichor, but I don't.
Right?
Yeah, that did
Yeah.
not get verbalized or what?
Yeah.
But
And
at any rate,
Chorus.
halfway there on the poison, and
So this is lethal next turn.
It
If
is.
Autumn has nothing, right? We just have 6 creatures versus 2, and Autumn is at 4.
that's right. So let's see if Autumn can find some way out. Mana's getting tapped rather quickly. Curator,
Okay.
is that enough? There are 3 blockers.
Any removal spell, any pump spell will get it done.
Yes.
Put.
That makes that a must block. So that gets blocked, but the other creatures can get blocked. It's not lethal.
Yeah, and then you can
Looks
the-
like this might be time for the round getting called here.
right.
Paul.
The sentry can trade with the samurai. All right.
yeah, so
Beat downs.
So if that was in fact time called, then that means that we are now in extra turns. It'll be turn 0 here, starting with Josh, and then Autumn would be turn
No
number
token?
1. Should be.
Was a might created?
He
Maybe missed the trigger.
might have whiffed.
Yep, and these are some things that you're going to see
We've seen
here.
a lot of that
Once
here.
we get back to tabletop,
Hey, tracking everything on the board is
tough.
difficult, and it is a skill. It is something that you have to. I mean, we've seen multiple slip-ups here. We saw the
Right.
combat one. You know, we saw Autumn try to attack 2 creatures. We saw,
oh, that's a rough one. Autumn is at 8.
wow,
with
Blightbelly Rat.
A
if
blight
it
belly rat and
dies,
4.
and there's no blockers over there that can soak it up either. So
Yeah,
like
I
it
think we're-
either gets in or it
Yeah.
dies.
So I mean, Autumn's going to steal the rat here. Is this gonna have? I wonder.
This is turn 1, by the way.
This
Paul.
is turn. That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, can Autumn stabilize here, or perhaps even turn it around?
It is possible. Josh has been fortunate here and has drawn 2 spells in a row. Now they haven't been
That
devastating,
might,
but
though.
they've been good. That miss might could be really rough. Let's see if he can
How many
find.
tokens did he miss? Was that the first time he missed the might
It
trigger?
was either the first or the second. He did hit it most of the time.
Right, because if he missed 2 triggers, this would have been a lethal attack this turn.
Right. Let's see if he can find some way to push through. If he finds a land at this juncture, it does feel like it may have slipped away. Oh, he found a removal spell.
Okay.
Anoint with Affliction.
Yeah, equip the Crawling Chorus.
Okay.
Attack with everything.
Yes.
That puts Autumn down to down to 9 poison, and we'll go to 2.
Yes. And then a creature would die.
Crawling Chorus has to be
presumably
blocked.
here. Yes. So then,
Is he getting a might here? And then Crawling Chorus dies, and that makes another might.
yes.
I'm on 6. I guess I will block.
Oh, on 6. Okay, I thought
Drain
Autumn was on.
Take 3 for
Well,
left.
so Josh is correcting.
I'm at 3. I'm sorry.
Okay, so then Autumn will go down to 2 and go to 9 poison, and we'll be facing 3 mites
That makes
with
me
1
think
creature in play.
If
I guess if I
she
do
also has a
that-
choice here, right, on whether to have a creature die and get a trigger from Vron or to
Not
block
die.
2 mites and not.
Pretty good.
Well, then she would die to damage. If
Okay,
she
so,
blocks
so
two
it's a
mites.
force block.
Yeah, yeah.
1
Okay.
drain, 2.
Well, then she does get the trigger, so she won't be at 2, right?
Oh, you're correct. Right. So now Autumn just goes to 4,
I got no toxic, so
9 toxic.
9 toxic
So Autumn needs to find 2 creatures here,
and
right?
4 life.
Didn't you? Oh yeah.
this
from
is
the
a
crawling
trigger,
chorus.
this is
Yeah,
dice.
yeah,
Yeah. Autumn needs to find 2.
yeah. Which means
Oh yeah.
No, no, they already got it. And then there's the dice trigger from the Crawling Chorus. That one's not
Okay, well,
Also, I think Autumn maybe didn't do the trigger for Vron there.
I'm
Nope,
not
there
sure,
it is.
but I just
Nope, there
don't
it is.
see Autumn
She's
coming
up to
back
4.
for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just too many small
we're
creatures
almost
swarming
ready for
because
Wanderer.
every one of those is lethal.
Right.
So, you got to get rid of 3 creatures here.
And
This should be,
she's got some good defensive things to play, but
this is
I
actually
think-
turn 3, by the way, not turn 2.
So Josh will get the win here.
Thank you.
And that's
last
going to be
turn.
a concession. There we go. Josh Cheng has to battle it out.
Wanderer.
Somehow Autumn found her way to get through Eternal Wanderer and didn't quite have enough to get over the finish line. You know, sometimes that's how it pans out when you play a powerful Planeswalker like that they have to use so many resources to get rid of it that whatever you have left over can clean up. And that's what happened here.
Yeah, and Josh Autumn did a great job of fighting through that Planeswalker, right?
Absolutely.
Looked like she was almost able to kind of turn that around and stabilize, but, 1 poison here, 1 poison there, all of a sudden we see a toxic victory here. And in fact, a poison counter victory here from Josh Cheng. And that's not going to be the last time we're going to see that.
No, it's a popular strategy here in Booster Draft. That to me is my favorite way to get somebody poisoned out is to do the black-white deck and to do it just like he did with a lot of low to the ground early stuff that you can kind of swarm with later on. And then your opponent's looking down and they may be at 14 life, but they're at 6, 7, 8, poison counters, and all of a sudden a Blight Belly Rat can do it done or some proliferate spell or something like that, and you can get the job done. And he was just able to get over the line there.
Yeah, and that's why the stock on a card such as Crawling Chorus has continued to go up. Typically, you don't want to play 1-mana 1/1s, right? But in this format, it might be the second, third best common in the set, right? If 4 white.
I love it.
Yeah,
One of my favorite.
Marshall. I mean, every time I go, Marshall, would you take Crawling Chorus or this amazing removal spell? He just snaps off the Crawling Chorus every single.
I have a problem. But
Yeah.
all right, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, though, we'll have Maria at the news desk.